the father of an 11-year-old girl who was murdered at her friend's sleepover, has told ITV News her killer should have been stopped by authorities. A damning report by the probation watchdog has found a string of failures allowed psychopathic Damien Bendall to murder his pregnant partner and 3 children in Killamarsh in Sheffield. Among the victims was Connie Gent, who'd been staying at the house of her friend Lacey Bennett. Reacting to the report, Connie's father Charlie condemned the basic failures and how even basic checks hadn't been carried out. He spoke exclusively to our correspondent Ben Chapman.
They should have been better protected. Terry Harris, her children John Paul and Lacey Bennett, and her friend Connie Gent.
Have you armed yourself?
Yeah.
They were all killed by Terry's violent partner Damien Bendall, who also raped 11-year-old Lacey.
What have you done? I've murdered 4 people.
But he could have been in prison were it not for multiple failures by probation officers to recognise the risk he posed.
It's just a mess, isn't it? It's calamity after calamity.
Charlie Gent can scarcely believe the volume of basic errors in today's report. His daughter Connie was killed while on a sleepover with her friend.
If they'd have done just a basic PNC check, then, you know, maybe they'd all still be here today. It could have quite easily been prevented. I think the entire system's broken, really broken.
Bendall had a long history of violence, but when he was convicted of arson in 2021, he was given a suspended sentence after probation officers wrongly classed him as low risk to women and children. They ignored an allegation of domestic abuse from a former partner and police concerns of a sexual threat to girls. He was allowed to live here with Terry Harris and her children under a curfew order, although she wasn't even consulted about it. And the report found many more missed opportunities to recognise the danger, but Bendall's probation officers were underqualified and overworked.
We found that at every stage of probation supervision of Damien Bendall, from assessment to the court report to his supervision in the community, the quality of that work by probation was of an unacceptable standard and well below what was required and what the public, I think, have a right to expect.
Last week, Charlie and the other victims' families received a personal apology from the head of the probation service.
What was it like to hear their apology?
A bit disappointing. Is that it?
That's what you thought?
Yeah, I felt a little bit angry. I felt like laughing at him, to be fair. 4 people have died. It's like the worst, well, yeah, it's the worst thing that's ever happened to me anyway, but it's completely destroyed families. Something definitely needs to be changed, doesn't it?
But inspectors say some of the things that went so badly wrong in Killamarsh are common issues. They've made 17 recommendations for improvements to probation practice. What happened here shows how important those improvements are.
Ben, there are some really serious failings that have been highlighted in this report. Should we be concerned at all about the state of the probation service in this country?
Well, as we've seen here, it is absolutely vital that we have the ability to properly assess and monitor dangerous offenders like Damien Bendall. And yet, the Chief Inspector of Probation says the probation service remains unfit for purpose at actually doing it. A lack of qualified staff, overworked managers remain what he calls common problems. Since this tragedy, 10 out of 17 local units inspected were found to be inadequate. Now, the government says the failings here were unacceptable. It says 2 members of staff have faced disciplinary action. It says it's pumping £155 million more into probation and hiring extra staff, thousands of them. But the relatives of those killed here, not least Charlie Gent, question how many more potentially dangerous offenders have slipped through the probation net, posing a risk to other families.